Hello traders, welcome to No FOMO Charts live stream. We're doing stocks and crypto analysis. Today is September 17th, 2021. It is about 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, New York time. And we're going to go ahead and get started with crypto today. Bitcoin, USDT, one-day Binance chart. If you have any requests, please let me know in the live chat when I'm live, and we'll probably go for about an hour today. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. Bitcoin USDT. Bitcoin USDT. So, what have I been talking about for the past week? All right, so the first issue here is we broke through the short-term downtrend, okay? Draw this on blue right here, the blue circle. All right, we rallied up to test a resistance point, and now we're fading back down as of right now, as of today. So where does that leave us? Where do we stand? First thing we should note is that we hit our resistance target of basically 47,000 to 48,000. Okay, this blue up here was our target, and our immediate support is still holding at 47,000. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to erase that for now. Okay, and just think about several scenarios. Okay, we do not need to panic. Okay, don't panic, right? Don't FOMO either, right? Just think about what are the possible scenarios that could happen. Well, first scenario, okay, let's do a bearish scenario, right? Just because of what happened after the flash crash with Bitcoin. We lost these two trend lines in terms of support and resistance. Okay, we fell down, and then the bear channel, right? The bear flag down here, right, was completed to the upside. Now, what I'm seeing here, if we're just looking, this daily candle is not fully closed yet. It's going to take about 4 hours. So from now, right? And we're heading into the weekend again as well. So all I'm going to call is the resistance. All right, so resistance levels 48,500 on the top, support to the downside 46,771. So it's basically 47 to 48, and let's just put in 46,000 in there as a downside support to future-proof this video a little bit. Also put in $45,000. That's down here. So we have these gray lines. Also remember, we have 44 and 43 that was touched to the downside. So again, the scenarios is, bearish scenario is if this is a lower high in the price, right? And it stops right here, lower high, we'd probably see a retest again of the 43,000, 44,000 range down here on support. Okay, so I'm going to leave that highlighted in blue because if this turns into a evening star daily candle pattern, that would be a reversal pattern, to be honest, right? I mean, to be frank about the patterns. All right, so if we need to really watch what's going to happen with the support and resistance on Bitcoin. All right, so that's the bearish scenario. Again, to repeat, we reject down from 48,000 and fade all the way back down to retest probably 46, 45,000 if that happens, downside. All the way, I mean, anything, we could even go down to 40,000. Why? Because that's the 200-day EMA zone on futures chart at least. Might have changed right now. Okay, so 41,500 changed a little bit past couple days. Right, so 41,500 is this 200 EMA spot. 44,000 is almost the 100-day EMA spot. The 50 EMA is 46,000, right? So 46, 45, right? This entire range could be support. All right, so that's the bearish side. The bullish side would be if this holds support. Okay, let me turn EMAs off. If this holds support right here above 46,700, all right, and we keep making higher lows here, then we could see one more leg up to 50,000. So that's our resistance up here. Then if we keep continuing bullish like 52, 53, etc. Okay, so just really want to watch out for that. And again, we want to check the intraday momentum, right? I'm going to turn all indicators off so we're just looking at the price of the flash crash down to right now. So yeah, you can see that right here. We bounced up and now we're fading back down on the 4 hour. On the 1 hour, okay, we penetrated through this trend line resistance on the top, 46,000, and boom, we're up here. But one thing I want to point out are the EMAs, right? The 1 hour EMA is up cross, so that's good, right? Since the flash crash, we down cross and then we up cross. So we're trying to hold, really hold the short-term support of 47,000. That's our line in the sand right now, because that's the 1 hour 200 EMA moving average. So again, this could just be a larger consolidation in this upward trend, right? So we want to watch out for that. Just watch out for that. If we keep holding 47 or even above 46 this whole weekend, then I wouldn't be surprised if this bounced next week. Also, it seems that Bitcoin is acting as a bit of a hedge, protection insurance hedge for people trading in the stock market, investors, because there's an inverse correlation, at least for now in the short term, is that, stock market, we're going to go over that later in the stream. Stock market's been going down this whole entire week, basically. And so Bitcoin's been going up for the past couple days, right? So it's obviously being used as a hedge, right? Protection. So that's why I'm not going to rule this out. It's not completely bearish yet because we are still up across of the 1 hour, right? But the 15-minute, obviously 5-minute and 15-minute is in jeopardy right now of a bearish downside momentum. But, sometimes these patterns, right, these like bull flags actually break to the upside. So I would just watch this consolidation pattern right now in Bitcoin. All right, let's move on to total because not a lot of people look at total. This is the crypto total market cap, so it includes Bitcoin and altcoins. It's basically the crypto index. Let me turn this watch list off. So we're looking at total right now. And again, stuck between our two support and resistance levels of 2.1 trillion and 2.2 trillion. We just turned it off and just really just get a bird's eye view of this daily chart. We know there's a resistance on the top right here that we double topped at. Okay. In a couple days, we'll get a weekly candle close. So I would actually watch that on total. I would watch that on Bitcoin. Okay. It's not over yet. That's why I can't call it right now. But this particular candle right here, it's going to close, right? So there is so much room on Bitcoin to pull back. If this is going to be, first off, okay, I start the bearish scenario on the weekly Bitcoin, right? If this is our lower high, right, then we could pull back way more than now. Okay, but bullish scenario is if this is our higher low, right, we could still pull back and then try to retrace. So in both scenarios, it's kind of okay to pull back on Bitcoin long term in terms of trend, right? Because if it's going to come down anyways and do this, it's going to come down. If it's going to come down but stop, it's going to come down anyways and then try to retrace back up to resistance. So, the flash crash really kind of stopped the momentum in the market, and it's really notable. All right, it wasn't like a one-time deal. It really stopped the momentum. The bulls, the spirit of the bulls, because if people lost money during that stop loss or trading, right, it was really tepid. It was really kind of cautious. And so I'd really just watch out for that. All right, total market cap. So this chart looks a little bit different. It pulled back down a little faster, right? But again, is this going to turn into a reversal pattern? It sort of looks like it on total at least, right? Because you already have this evening star pattern right here, these three candles, I'll circle it right here, right? Almost like a reversal to the downside. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got more downside pullback in the market. It's just Bitcoin, sometimes that 1 hour kind of lags a little bit, and then we need to see some kind of like boom. You know what I'm saying? If it's going to be boom, bear break down, or boom, bull break up, right? Also, is this some kind of dirty head and shoulders on total? Let's hypothetically say it is. That would be 15% to the downside if this becomes true. That would make sense as well, Fibonacci wise, because if we have downside momentum, that target would bring us into this range, which is right in the middle, which is a obvious retracement, 50% or 618, right? Closer to 50%, right? 1.72 trillion, but that's negative 15% wiped off, lost, gone on the crypto market cap. So that would be very interesting if this turns out to be true. Then our lower high would definitely be set in terms of weekly, right? This, and then this is what I'm talking about, the pullback down here. And then the crypto market has a decision to make. Bulls are going to have to decide, if it pulls back, are people going to buy here in any of these zones, right? In any of these three zones that people usually buy. So this is more long-term. I'm not talking about like, 100 Satoshis of move, right? I'm talking about the bigger picture here of where we're going with Bitcoin, right? So we just want to kind of watch out for that, because if how this pattern is negated, how it's canceled, is this support level holds very, very strong in the blue, yellow, and we just bounce up. I've seen head and shoulders fail before. If we bounce up to retest resistance at 2.42 trillion, then that pattern's not real. It's not happening. So, but if we bear break down below that, then we might see this happen, and then that pattern is definitely real. So just want to watch out for that. Does anybody have requests? Let's see. Yes, I'm a full-time. I'm well aware, Mickey, of what's happening in the stock market. So what I'm giving is two scenarios, because that's the because we have some bulls watching the stream, we have bears watching the stream. So again, I'm giving two scenarios right now. This is I gave the bearish scenario to the downside, right? The 50% retracement. But in a longer term picture, right? It's possible, right? It's possible, right? Someone wants me to look at equities. Sure, we look at SPX, right? I've been looking at this the whole time. Full-time trader here. So SPX, right? We talked about this bottom trend line, this bottom side trend line. Okay, it was tested for 2 days. Well, actually tested more than that. But I'm saying the bounce attempt happened right here on September 15 and 16, Wednesday and Thursday. Bulls tried to hold that up to create, right, either a lower high or bounce up to resistance trend line on the top side, 4586 resistance, right? But we failed. Why? There's a lot of bearish events happening in the stock market and globally right now. All right. So for technical reasons on the chart, it just topped out here at resistance, very obvious trend line resistance up here on top, right? 4537. And we pulled back to our target, which was here, 4439. If you look at my idea on my profile, this is the exact targets I'm talking about, this zone, right? But for a weekly chart, okay, if we zoom out, anything above the 4375 range could be our higher low, right? But again, if you just look at the pattern right now, though, is this head and shoulders? Did we just lose the neckline today? Okay, if we're very sensitive to charts, did we just lose the neckline today? All right, so for bearish scenario, if we did, negative 2.09% downside pullback to 4352. Let me mark that down here. Okay, and we could even go double the target. So we could go negative 4% down, right? 4262. It's our second downside target. Okay, it's probably not going to go straight down in line. There's circuit breakers in the market, but we're talking about downtrending, right? That would be our first target. First target, second target here. All right, that's the bearish scenario. Okay, but bullish scenario, because of the times we're in right now, is it's possible as well though, because this might fail, right? But we've held the support 1, 2, 3, 4 times, but we just lost it right now. That's why this is very notable in the stock market right now. Okay. But how we can survive if somebody is a bull, right? So it's the opposite scenario, just in case some really bullish, good fundamental news starts happening in the next couple of weeks and months, is that it needs to find, if this is going to pull back, then fine, right? It needs to find a strong support level to hold. So where are the next lower support levels? Somewhere 4375, 4400 range. Okay. And then you need to see like probably a triple candle pattern, like a morning star down there, right? Just seeing a hammer is not enough, right? On the daily, if you see a hammer candle like that, it's like, okay, right? And you're probably going to want, someone's conservative, it's like, all right, we want to see that next follow through, which would turn it into a morning star triple candle pattern, basically this. So the happiest bullish scenario I can give looking at this chart is we're going to find the support level wherever that's going to be in the zone down here, 4,300, 4,400, and probably bounce up to retest, right? Because when everything gets super oversold, the bots and algos probably going to buy that a little bit. They already tried here, but it looks like we're going to lower lows. But I'm saying usually we get a bounce of the retest unless it's super bearish fundamentals and news, and we just keep downtrending. That's also a possible scenario. But another bounce would make sense, right? Just to make sure, like, wait a second, we're not going up for sure, and then that could happen. So I would watch for that in the S&P 500. All right, we're gonna bounce back a little, back and forth, right? But the reason why I'm saying there could be a potential uptrend continuation on Bitcoin is that we've seen a little bit of an inverse correlation with the S&P 500. So people have been hedging Bitcoin, right? Also, today is a particularly volatile day on this Friday because it was triple witching day, right? Where options and futures expire today. So that's why you've seen some extra volatility in the stock market today. But again, we've seen this before, right? In the bigger picture, yes, Bitcoin could be in the could have just set its lower high right here, and we could be downtrending on Bitcoin, yes. But in short term, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw just a little bit of a pop attempt, okay? It depends on the candle that we're looking at today. If it turns into an evening star pattern, then yes, we'd probably pull back down. If it doesn't, then this could go up like that as well, right? So we just watch for the intraday price action, okay? ADA USD. All right, for global people, I'm going to use a USDT chart. Okay, so ADA USDT. All right, so there's a lot of marks on here, but basically what happened is since the last time we talked about Cardano is we were testing our upside resistance right here, right, at about 275. Okay, and then we pulled back to our medium term support level, okay, about 250, and then we lost that to the downside today. All right, so let me go over this one more time. So we set our resistance levels 297, okay? And then our immediate resistance was 250 right here. So then our support levels, according to the chart, on this chart would be 220, 191, right? 147, 113, and then $1 down here, okay? I'm trying to future-proof this for people because sometimes people just look at like one support level and then they forget about everything else. So we have to kind of future-proof it with crypto, right? When crypto crashes, if you know what I'm talking about. So looks like it's pointing down. It's trying to aim for this general area of like 220 around here for Cardano, right? 220, $2.20. And if we're really honest with ourselves, it's daily downtrend right now. Daily downtrend. How do we know this? We just lost the support for overnight, past 24 hours. So I wouldn't be surprised if we try to pull back to there. All right, but then we do have this trend line and we do have additional support right under right? Price is 235 right now, heading into the weekend. So like 225 all the way to 220 is probably some kind of support level. If we Fibonacci this just to get additional, I'm going to Fibonacci the close. Okay, that marks the 382 spot. So then Fibonacci also 50%, 618, 786. Those are your levels that you want to watch for on the downside break. So we zoom in a little bit. Now it's kind of getting messy, but right, we zoom in a little bit. 1 hour. Okay, it's right at that support trend line right now. So again, we do bull and bear case scenarios. Now we're on your request 1 hours. Okay, so what is the trend? First, there was this weird trend, right? There's this lower, 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 and then it bounced up. Okay, and then we double top. Okay, then we came down and retested a lower high. But now is this an intraday 1 hour head and shoulders? Is it possible? It's looking suspicious, right? Double headed head and shoulders, right at a support level. So let's pretend if this is true, there could eventually be negative 16% to the downside on ADA. That would bring us basically to $2 down here. Okay, if that's true, right, not every head and shoulders is real, right? We need the follow through to the downside. We need that confirmation break to the downside. And I'm not seeing the bearish volume because heavy selling has not happened yet, but it's the volume is decreasing. Right, that's a little suspicious. Right, then we check, bring up a little EMA action. Yeah, it's pretty choppy on the 1 hour. But obviously our 1 hour is down crossed here. Okay. So this is going to be the big test basically for Cardano price. Essentially right here in this 230 to 225 range needs to hold for the bulls to maintain control here. Okay. So, and this is related to Bitcoin too. So we've seen with the fading down of Cardano, right? It's Bitcoin has been going up a little bit, right? But it's still fading. So Cardano has started to correlate a little bit more with Bitcoin. Do you know what I mean? Okay, you see this fading down action is almost the same. So we have to think about the sentiment too as well, because somebody in the chat is just saying, somebody was saying, look at the equities, right? And there is some correlation coming into the market. We've had fear in this market for like a week, right, about stocks. So bulls really need to save this. Okay, so two scenarios. Again, bearish case is probably short term, come down to 225. Long term, fade down to $2. But if Bitcoin and altcoins happen to hold support very well over the next week or even a couple of days, right, and just till Monday, Tuesday, right, Cardano could bounce and maybe retest this one more time, 250. It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. It's not impossible, right? There's a little bit of MACD momentum building on that 1 hour chart. 15 minutes a little choppy, but yeah. So it's going to be basically plus or minus 6% in the next couple days on Cardano. That's what it really looks like. All right, and a longer term trend, right? We did establish our higher high point here at $3, topped out, and now it's testing right here at the support level 235. But you have to watch out for Cardano because anything above $1 is a longer term higher low. It's kind of similar to Bitcoin, sort of, right? In terms of just anything above 40,000 is the higher low for Bitcoin until it's not anymore. So for Cardano at this moment in time, right, this is the big line in the sand. $1, $2. Right? Those are the kind of two big lines in the sand. If you start losing that, you're probably going to see some panic, fear, capitulation on Cardano if that happens. Okay, does anybody have any more requests before we're going on? I know we're jumping back and forth, but it's kind of important because if we just take a snapshot look, let's go back to stocks really quick. right? This is from my idea. Okay, the Dow Jones was the clue. Okay, so we're looking at the DIA, the Dow Jones ETF now, and this was the clue. I've been talking about this for like a week in my in the streams, and my idea is that when Dow Jones topped here, this is already a lower high right here in the price, and it's already starting the downtrend. So Dow Jones lost the trend line 2 weeks ago, right? So it's already been bearish for Dow Jones for 2 weeks, right? And the bulls tried right here past couple days to really retest and bounce up, but it was failed because of a little too much bearish news and sentiment in the world, right? I should note that, if you guys have not heard already, there's that whole issue with the Chinese Evergrande real estate investment company over there, and there are some real global problem for a couple days, right? Contributing to this pullback. And we're going right into triple witching option future expiration today. So, there's a lot of interesting things, and our U.S. government, every week announcing some larger policy change with vaccines and taxes. So that's why there's just like we're not in the, maximum bullish sentiment right now. It's not like that anymore. So, okay, right? If this turned out to be a double top in the daily Dow Jones, right, that could pull us back down from this about 2%. That would be 341 down here. So that's a bearish target. Okay. And there's other additional supports here. I'll just draw it, right? So if we happen to go negative 4% down, that would bring us 334, right? So this is how we're preparing for downside risk, and we're not going to get scared if it actually ends up happening. We know exactly the targets we might go to, okay? But there's EMAs down here, so the next immediate EMA is 343 right there. And remember, short-term EMA down cross. So now there's resistance right here. There's a resistance trend line right here. So again, I wouldn't be surprised for Dow Jones if we just popped up a little bit, right? But there's significant more downside intraday momentum right now. Let's just check a little bit of that. What's going on? I'm not looking at the top side at this point, right? We're not super oversold on any of these time frames, so it's definitely possible we could get more additional pullback, right? If we switch over to SPX, S&P, we do the same analysis, just looking at popular indicators, RSI, MACD. We're not super oversold. It's not super oversold, so we could get additional pullback. Okay, let's go to NASDAQ really fast. NASDAQ, QQQ, ETF. Okay, so again, we have our targets from last time. This is our support. We try to bounce off 374 and bounce up, but then today was the big red day in terms of confirming the low direction. Even QQQ with this dirty sideways head and shoulders. Okay, if this is true on NASDAQ, it's not a perfect head and shoulders, but if it's true, we pull back down to this second support down here, 366. So I'm going to leave that blue mark down there. All right, but if it happens to fail, okay, always remember the inverse scenario, right? Just in case, right? If it fails, all right, we might find our lower low here and try to retest, attempt 376. So these two targets still remain intact. But what we want to look at is just that quick peek at that intraday momentum. Again, we're not super oversold on some of these intraday time frames. Maybe the 15 minutes. But, seeing today, they're still bearish, right? We got the golden cross down on the 15 minutes. So it's still bearish short-term intraday, right? So how would we save this stocks and or Bitcoin, right? We need strong bullish fundamental news to happen or events to happen in the stock market to save the bullish sentiment and for investors and traders to really, really hold the support levels bravely, right? If not, it's probably going to keep selling off, right? Until it gets to a very, very oversold point where all traders, investors, and algorithms and bots are saying that's a very, very good relative low spot to buy some equities or stocks or some cryptos or commodities or something like that, right? So we'll look at some commodities as well. But that's kind of that where we are with stocks and crypto right now. Okay. A little bit of fading down. There's just a little bit too much bearish events and news that's happened the past 1 to 2 weeks combined with technical charts, right? So hedge funds are taking advantage of that. I'm not sure if people remember, but late August, early September, hedge funds were just coming out on the news saying they're going to begin to short tech stocks. They just straight up said it. So if people are really sensitive to those news, I remember I was watching that, I'm like, wow, this guy just really, and if it's true, he just announced his play to the entire world. So we have, those types of people in the market. So just have to remember, okay, there are these downside targets here, and especially on NASDAQ, right? Anything above 370, even 367, or in a much longer term, right? Even 340 can keep us in this longer term uptrend, 360, right? Because we've been uptrending since pandemic lows, right? So if we happen to have what every CNBC financial analyst is panicking about, the potential -5 to -10% pullback that they're estimating, that still could keep us in a weekly uptrend if we happen to bounce up from that. So we want to just watch for that. All right, let's move on to gold. Okay, I don't see requests right now, so I'm just going to keep moving along to different assets so everyone's covered here in the stream. So we're going to look at gold, XAU USD. 1-day Oanda chart. Okay, we hit our downside middle target exactly where I marked just a couple days ago on the stream, 1750. How did I know that was going to be a spot? Okay, well, first off, there's multiple support levels looking left. You can extend this line out to the left. I'm just roughly drawing it. You see it touches all these points here, 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 violated right there once, and now it's coming back down here inside to this support level. So we did get a little bearish down cross. Okay, so what's happening with stocks and metals and commodities and Bitcoin is all related. I hope people realize that. Okay, there's some inverse correlations and there are some positive correlations, but it's all related. The moves that are happening right now. So if we look very, very carefully on the chart, what is our trend? On longer term, right? This was uptrend, this was downtrend, this was uptrend, this is short-term downtrend, right? This short-term uptrend, and then you see a little baby head and shoulders right here. Okay, so if we measure that, this is more about almost like an intraday pattern. 2.57%. So we almost hit that target, right? Like negative 1742 would be that zone. We did almost barely touch it. And we tried to rally today, but failed. Right, so double that target, -5%, would bring us down to this yellow support line, trend line down here, 1680, which is our blue line at the bottom. Right, so longer term is this lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, or double top, right? Let me see if it's a lower high. It is basically a lower high, almost, right, just by a few cents. And if this pulls back down, I will not be surprised to 1683. I will not be surprised. What's going to hold this up again if we get super oversold on any of these time frames, which we kind of are, which is interesting to see. So something's a little possible bullish reversal might happen in gold at some point in the next couple days, right? I wouldn't be surprised given what's happening with stock market right now, right? Because a bull could look at this and be like, wait, isn't this like an upside down here? So it's just, there's so many things that can happen. It's kind of dirty though. It's not the cleanest pattern. So what I would just watch for on gold is more just support and resistance because the trend is kind of dirty, right? It's kind of choppy right in this zone right here on the daily chart. This was a clear trend, then this was clear. This section was clear, and this section is a little bit ambiguous right now, right? Because is it trying to establish a higher low, right? Or is it a longer term? Is it a longer term downtrend? So I'll just keep an eye on the intraday price, really. If this intraday support holds right now, like it's almost a double bottom right at 1750, literally right there. Okay, so attempted rally of 0.70%. So 1740 could be the next downside target, or you try to retest this 1765. Those are the two short-term targets in the yellow circles. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to US oil. See, US oil with the continuation rally from our lower trend line that we drew here. And it's notable that for the past 3 days, we did not reject down. It's kind of hard to see. Let me take these targets off. It's kind of hard to see. We did not reject down. So that's good for oil. And again, was this the upside down head and shoulder reversal pattern? Possibly, right? But again, with the larger theme of potential pullback in stock market, we have to be a little bit careful about getting super bullish right now on oil, right? So 11% would give us the top side target of $54 in that blue circle, right? But if we zoom out to a weekly, I was kind of possibly calling this upside down head and shoulders a couple like last week. So, and then there's the Morningstar pattern on the weekly. So oil is a little choppy too. If you're just really honest with the price, right? If you zoom out to weekly, oil is kind of choppy because, right, this is clean uptrend and hold that support and that's fine. But $50, if we break above that, then we're likely going to see a higher high, right? 56. But right now it's just stuck. We did rally right to 51.50, right? But that's our resistance right now for oil. So oil struggling a little bit, right? And it's obviously because of Delta variant and all the travel restrictions and lockdowns that's happening right now. Also, what happened globally in the past 2 weeks, couple weeks actually. So oil, just right at resistance right now. If someone wants like a snapshot, right at resistance. This is the fourth time it's testing $50, right? So you want to watch out for that on oil. Just because there's upside down head and shoulders, remember, oil is not the only asset in the world. All right, let's look at other assets right now. Again, the last piece of news I just saw about an hour ago when the stock market closed was that the FDA in the U.S., the government institution for the Federal Drug Administration, is they rejected the booster shot vaccines for age 16 and older people. So they said no to that plan, although the White House government is saying yes to it, right? So there's basically some disagreement between some government institutions because they already announced the booster shot, but then the FDA is saying no now. So there's a little bearish sell. There's a little bearish problem like on Moderna, or actually on like Pfizer and Moderna, right? There's some bearish sentiment at the end of the day here. But we can look at some of these vaccine stocks because it's definitely back in play, right? It's been shorted down for the past month and a half, month already. I remember I went long in Pfizer way down here. So that was just a quick trade review. But if we Fibonacci this right and we get some targets, okay, we're hitting the 382. If we're going to pull back significantly, we could pull back to 50% at 618. Remember, I have earnings right here on November 2nd. Okay, so we have to also remember that September, October, there's less earning reports, right? When November comes back online, we're going to see some additional volatility come into this market. But immediate support for a stock like Pfizer is like $41.40, $40, right? There's not much support in here because it kind of went parabolic like a Bitcoin. This was maximum hype right here. And we're fading down. You see the trend, right? The only way we would bounce up again is if intraday we're oversold, and we kind of are, right? So maybe we might see a bounce on Pfizer stock, but it depends on the news as well. and how we open up tomorrow. I mean, on Monday and Tuesday, right? But fading down. So this would be the first line in the sand, 43.64. Second line would be 41.56 to establish that lower low and then try to bounce up. Okay, so that's an example of a stock. I'm sure somebody wants to see Ethereum. Let's go back to crypto. Ethereum USD. So Ethereum already establishing its evening star bearish reversal pattern, right? Let's just take a look at crypto because we are starting to sell off a little stronger today, right? Ever since the pullback on Bitcoin, like look at all these altcoins suffering, unfortunately, right? So again, just you have to mentally prepare yourself. I know there's people, as a side note, there's people out there that I know they're still super bullish on Bitcoin, crypto, GameStop, AMC, meme stocks. But if you kind of really, really try to detach yourself from emotions and hype on the internet and social media, is what are the charts telling us right now? That's my style, is technical analysis. The price is the truth. The price is the truth. What is the truth of the price telling me right now? And then what am I going to do in response to that? That's how my kind of my style. So again, yes, crypto taking a hit down, and it is related to technically, right? We were a little bit oversold at one point a couple of days ago, right? So there's a chart reason why we pulled back. Excuse me, we're overbought, meaning we're a little bit too high in the price, right? Like high RSI, I mean, losing a little bit of momentum on the MACD as well. And we pulled back. And then we have the stock pullback, right? That's definitely contributing a little bit to what's happening right now. So with every altcoin, okay, I'll start looking down at the support levels. Where are the support levels where we might stop and bounce at some day, right? If we do happen to bounce. So for example, on Ethereum, let's erase this. Even on daily chart, you could just start establishing it right now. There's two obvious resistances right here, like 4,000. This, I always call this is the resistance zone on Ethereum, right? It's the big box. But then we start seeing resistance right here, 3600. We just lost 3417 today. So where are the immediate supports? Just look right here. There's such an obvious answer right here on this little price cluster. I like to call it price cluster. Those are support levels to the left side, to the downside. So then it would be 3273, 3193, 3120, and 3000. Those levels right there. And you could double check that by looking, okay, are there EMAs? There are EMA support. So then 322 is our big one, 3200, 2900, 2500 are the bigger levels. So if this happens to be the start of the downtrend, right, today is just that confirmation of lower high, then expect to see lower lows on Ethereum, right? That's just the natural cycle of the market. We cannot go up forever, right, without seeing some kind of pullback. And we're talking about daily chart analysis right now. I'm not even looking at the intraday momentum, right? Just long-term targets. If this turns out to be true, we set that resistance lower high, then definitely retest at least the upper 3000s, right? If this pattern is evening star, right, there's multiple signals telling. First, there's resistance, trend line resistance, evening star bearish pattern, right? This potential setup for bears. And then we zoom in a little bit. Turn some of the indicators on. We zoom in a little bit. Even this old trend line over here from last week is still in play, right? You could see it pull back down to the upper 3000s. That's why I'm circling this right here. It's a potential downside target. What will save the market though? What will save Ethereum is if we get another super oversold right here, that's going to be some relative bottom on Ethereum. Okay, I'm getting a little advanced right now. If somebody's a total beginner, probably have no idea what I'm saying. But basically is if Ethereum crashes down and pulls down enough, it's going to stop at some point, right? it cannot go forever infinity down, unless, every crypto gets banned in the world at like the same time, right? There's going to be normal trading that occurs. So at some point here, it might stop. So maybe in the upper 3,200, 3,100 range. Because there's multiple support levels. There's trend line support. There's horizontal support, right? There might be some, low RSI, right? There might be some momentum building on the MACD at some point over here. So really watch for the intraday. But already here's the telling key of Ethereum is Bitcoin held its supports right here on the 200-day EMA on the 1-hour chart. Ethereum lost the support, okay? Because Bitcoin started fading, then all altcoins took a hit down. So I would watch for that. All right. So eventually, too long didn't read analysis is we're probably going to fade down and bounce somewhere around right here. Okay. If normal trading occurs, this is under the assumption that we don't have some crazy bearish news that's going to come out in the next week about crypto. Also, if you saw the news on CNBC, Bloomberg today about there is crypto related news, is that the U.S. government, I believe it's the SEC institution, is trying to the headline was crack down on how did they word it? It was basically ransomware scams and crypto, something about that they're going to try to crack down on the ransomware scams, but it just was worded like a bearish headline, right? So there's a little bit of that, news manipulation that's heading into here as well, and people just saying nope, and then they're getting out, right? And then stop losses being triggered, and then shorts and algos kicking in, right? And just normal downtrend. So this was foreseeable even starting 24 hours ago. If somebody's really sensitive to charts, somebody might have called this a head and shoulders right here, right? Somebody could have called that. If that was real, the target was 3% to the downside, 3 to 6%. And we literally almost hit the 6% at 3346, right? So there is a way to kind of get ahead of other traders using technical analysis, but you have to be really sensitive to the price, right? If you just look at one indicator, I mean, that actually helps too, right? But if you just look at the price like without anything at all, that's kind of really hard, right? If you just look at it like this, it's like, well, you have to draw something on the chart at least. So that was a little bit of a little too much education right there. If anybody has any more requests, just let me know. I'm not seeing any requests. Okay. So then maybe at this end part, I'll try to do crypto rapid fire. I'm only going to do daily charts. Okay. Um, and we're looking at the Binance USA. All right. This is in USD. Let's just look really fast and compare. Start from Bitcoin, go down. Right. So Bitcoin already possibly establishing the lower high and pulling back down. Maker. This is definitely a lower high for Maker. Right. Because if it's going to be a higher high, the price needs to come up way higher here, retest, and break 4,000. Is that really going to happen? Right? Is this really going to happen? We need a major bullish fundamental news change for that to happen in Bitcoin and altcoins. So this already looks like some kind of lower high to me. But you never say never though, right? Because somebody could have said the exact same thing about this one over here. Because it was here, but then, and someone's like, hey, it's lower high, but then you have to wait for more confirmation and wait a second, then it's trend change reversal, higher low right here, right? So it's not completely 100% over for crypto. That's what I keep trying to tell people, is that if this holds, then you might have some chance 6 months from now, 3 to 6 months from now. But if it fails, then we have a problem. There's a definite problem if that fails. If we lose this level right here on Maker, 2,700. Okay, Ethereum, we already talked about this, but long term is you can even pull back down to 2620 and still have some potential bearish versus bull scenario, right? In terms of very, very long term. Okay, moving on. Bitcoin Cash, USD, very similar to Maker. And this is interesting. Is this turning into upside down head and shoulders? Maybe. Don't want to read into it too much until it actually happens, though. But you know, bull case that if this really happens, I'm doubting a little bit right now, but it'd be 1200 top side target. If it happens to fail, downside, ultimate downside target of 134, right? So that's why I kind of don't like to call these big patterns, because it almost sounds realistic. I want to see some change, unrealistic. I want to see some change in Bitcoin first before, you know, we see some momentum in some of these altcoins. But weekly, though, you could see here that, right? Is this some just lower high and we're about to pull back? Also, is this a giant head and shoulder, right? So you can make so many different cases. And it's really just the day-to-day price. That's why I try to focus on daily charts. So Binance Coin pulling back, but Binance Coin had a double top here, which is why I'm more inclined to believe this is the lower high for Binance Coin right here. We had this double top. And then a possible head and shoulders setting up, right? So Binance Coin, if this is true, Binance Coin possibly about to pull back 30% to 288, which is our zone to the left. Our double price cluster support to the left, right? So that could pull back right there. Where if it's fake though, right? If it's a fake out and it only pulls back halfway and stops, then that could bring us, that could keep the uptrend intact, right? Because this was definitely downtrend. This is a start of something questionable, because when you have the potential two-directional trend change, the question is this a lower high right here? Is it? The lower high will be confirmed if we keep seeing downside pressure, right? Then that's finally confirmed. At least maybe 5 to 10 days more price action. But the other case is, wait, what if we establish a higher low and then try to retest up here, right? So it really depends on crypto and the fundamentals. News. What do we got next? We have Comp USD. Comp USD is a little bit more range bound than some of these coins, so I'm going to put it in this little parallel channel to the side. All right, so just holding this immediate support at 362 right here. We tested it 2 times. We're about to crash down to test it a 3rd time. So that's going to be notable. I'll just draw it right here. Support and resistance. And it's consolidating. So the trend is a little bit more questionable. Litecoin. Okay, we did have that one fake news pump on Litecoin. But Litecoin suspiciously holding its support is very quiet. That always is strange for crypto. When a major top 10 or top 20 coin is just quiet, that's really suspicious to me. So what's Litecoin trying to do here, right? And it's possible Litecoin bulls and bears are just tired after that one day, the fake news pump, right? You have flash crash and fake news. That's a little too much, right, for people. So just mentally on Litecoin. So I understand why people are just gave up on this one for now. The sentiment is like people don't want to think about Litecoin right now. It's fake. Fake news that one day I'm not going to touch that. That's the psychology. But if you have, you know, support and resistance levels just set up, that's the 2 levels we're playing between, 190, 163. So, you know, if this happens, downside target 111, if it's going to confirm a longer term downtrend. If not, it has to hold that 156 level. Okay, next, Dash. Okay, Dash with the double top here. Okay, that's why we pulled back there. Not 100%, but that's another half of the reason we pulled back, right? So 22%. We haven't hit that downside target yet of 22%. That would be 167 down here. We tried to bounce, but not. We failed though. We're honest with ourselves. And now there's a double-headed head and shoulders forming. I would be a little careful on Dash, right? Could be negative 34% to downside on 2 bearish case scenarios. 125 downside target. But I've seen head and shoulders fail, because if any fundamental news or if Bitcoin flips up, then this pattern could immediately rally back up to 255. So that's our resistance target up there, 255 and 217. All right, so always be prepared on both sides. Okay, really fast, Zcash. Zcash. All right, so we had our lower trend line got broken to the downside on the flash crash. Okay, so now we have those levels. Resistance 177, immediate support 127, secondary support level $100, and then $80 down here. 80 bucks. So this trend a little choppy, right? Because this was confirmed downtrend, this was uptrend, and then that's why everyone's confused right now on the daily chart. Is like, what is happening? Because we on intraday it's easy to see, but on daily chart there's not enough information to call the daily trend change yet, right? We need more information. Intraday though, you can on any of these altcoins you can obviously see what the trend is. It's intraday 1 hour downtrending. It was 4 hour downtrending before. Then we had this pattern, more accurate. Okay, then a breakout. That's why this happened right here. You measure the move breakout. But if we draw out some trend lines intraday, then you can see why we get rejected here and here. So two support levels. So I wouldn't be surprised if we retested 123 to downside bearish target first, right? Again, it's going to take us to get really, really oversold to get this bounce going, usually on crypto. So to me, this kind of is turning into a giant channel because no one's really, the direction is not clear for crypto intraday. Because anybody could come in and say, well, they can make a bullish or bearish scenario, but what's going to confirm or deny each scenario are the break of either support or resistance, right? Longer term, we're in the middle heart line, half line. But if we fade down and then we lose 120 and retest and lose it, then that's obvious confirming that bear break, right? And then we're going to hit those downside targets. But if we hold this anywhere in between here, 130, 125, and this applies to like all altcoin psychology, right? If we hold this in balance, we're trying to retest that resistance 134. If we happen to break out, rally up to 143, right? But this is more of like what we just had in the past couple of days was more of an oversold relief rally, right? Things crashed down so much, shorts are going to close, right? Longs are going to hop on, day traders are going to hop on and make all their profit, and then they're going to take their profit. This is profit taking, this is selling, this is shorting, this is stop losses right here. That's what's happening. Bearish news. Okay, EGLD. EGLD is different. First off, because EGLD rallied, right? Other coins, they hit the flash crash and they just start consolidating like that. But EGLD was different. It had a lot of intraday momentum, and that's why we started continuing to rally. But now we established some resistance levels. Okay, so I'm gonna adjust my Fibonacci. You don't always have to use Fibonacci. Like you could just turn it off for an example, right? And then you could just draw your support resistance levels like I like to use. So resistance 281 on top, support 239, support 196. How did I even get those? Because there's a point right here, a point here, multiple touch points right here, and there's one down here, touch point, right? It's just, if you do this for a living and you do this for a long time, right, you start to be able to just see it right away, fast. Okay, and then 97, then 63, right here, here, and here. So all those dots that I marked, oops, all those dots that I marked, okay, and we go back. But here's where, if you're trying to get targets, I would put up a Fibonacci. I'm just going to erase the blue dots. I would put up Fibonacci, right? Also, you could draw trend lines too, because if this is our top right here, if 300 is our top on EGLD, there's a trend line here. It's not, there's a steep one right here. So it looks like the immediate zone is somewhere upper to mid $200 range, like somewhere right here, 214, 215, right? On the daily too, do we just create a baby head and shoulders? You guys see this right here? Head and shoulders is intraday. You'll probably see it on intraday. What if I switch that chart? There's negative 10% to downside. So negative 10% to downside would be 231. Negative 20%, double that target to downside would be where my blue circle is, 206. So I would watch out for this if this really happens. Now let's go into the intraday to see how this played out. The 4 hours candle wicks, it's kind of there. It's not perfect. It's a little dirty, but it's sort of there, right? If somebody's very sensitive, if you don't want to call it head and shoulders, then it's just multiple resistance touch points. This entire box, right? So you can actually draw this thing with technical analysis. You can measure it. You can measure it 7%. So negative 7% would bring us to about the same target, 226. So the only thing I would watch out for EGLD though is it's kind of like Cardano and Solana, is that it has been uptrending, right? Uptrending here. So then if we're going to make the higher low, it will pull back to our blue line zone, our support zone. And that's probably also EMA zones, right? Moving average zones, right? We're moving average zones. It's tested on the flash crash, the 200-day moving average. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again. So we just really want to watch for that. All right, I'm not going to do every single altcoin though. If you have requests though, I'll go a little longer today because it's the weekend and I didn't stream for a couple days, right? Also, quick announcement, I'm probably just going to stream more on the weekends rather than weekdays because I'm a full-time trader and investor. So I'm going to, this week was really kind of choppy and very volatile. So I was working a lot this week. But if somebody has a request, go ahead and type it in the chat. Now's your chance. Any stock or crypto that's on TradingView. Global too, not just USA. All right, so Zen, there's not much data here on Zen. So I wouldn't really use this chart. I would just use the regular Binance chart, right? You see we have more data going back at least 1.5 years. And there's more data on other exchanges, but that's just a side note. It's important. Zen trying to rally, but hit that double top resistance today or 2 days ago, 109. All right, so not the greatest setup for Zen. And again, if you've been in crypto, right? If you've been trading crypto and investing in crypto, you would know long term that the market cannot go up forever, and there's long periods of consolidation or downside, right? Let's just stop here on Zen and just rewind to Bitcoin, okay? Let me use a different Bitcoin chart to explain. Let me use like a Florin chart. The Huobi or Huobi chart, right? If you just look back in the history of Bitcoin, you just back up, and it's not enough information. It's going like a Bitfinex, like an old one, right? If you go back for a couple years, right, since at least get the Bitcoin rally, right, of 2017 in here, you'll see that this 2017 went from like 2016, 17 till 18, the end of 2017, we stopped right here, right? And then we crashed down and there were a lot of bearish news events, but that took 1 year. I hope people realize that. It took 1 year, right, of going down. We went up for 5 years, right? Then we pulled down for a year. Then we rallied up for half a year, right? This is the history. If you pay attention, there's the Bitcoin Cash Civil War. That's what happened here. This is the global top, right? Government changed policy on Bitcoin right here. There's a Bitcoin Civil War right here. The Bitcoin Cash split. That was huge news. Huge, right? And then right here, Trump tweeted out that Bitcoin is bad when he was president, right? That killed that rally. And then we had obviously pandemic crash right here, right? How long did this downtrend take? About 6 months, right? So trends, longer term trends takes like 6 months, a year plus, right? Then we had the COVID rally. How long did that take? Basically 1 year of rallies. Okay, so I'm not surprised of what's happening right now for past almost 6 months now, right? So I'm gonna mark this as the top of the that was basically the end of the COVID rally for now, right? And then you had the Dogecoin crash and the China miner ban, right? That's all what this is right here. If you follow the news and you know what's going on, right? And then this is the end of kind of that, the El Salvador adoption, right? That was the trigger. The end of that event was the trigger for the crash, right? So now you might be wondering, like, okay, well, where are we heading for next 6 months? That's why if this is our lower high right here relative to this high, then we will see downside long term. I'm talking 6 months to a year from now, long term, right? So you need to be aware of that. Anyway, anybody completely FOMOing right now and like thinking we're gonna go to moon right now, just you want to double check the inverse scenario always, because I remember here in 2018 at the top of 19, like people were saying all over the internet, you know, we're going to a moon. People were saying Bitcoin 500K right here, and this I was like, what are they talking about, right? Like there's no signal yet. There's no trend. We're downtrending, right? Here too, people are saying Bitcoin 500K. Like anybody could say Bitcoin 500K at any day and get hyped out of their minds, right? But then until you see it actually going up, it's just in somebody's mind, basically. So right here is we need more information on much, much longer term day chart and weekly charts. And this idea is already in my profile, the weekly Bitcoin idea. And just to explain it to you, not you people, but to people who have not seen it before, right, is what chart did I use? I think I used the Bitstamp chart. So if you zoom out to a weekly, okay, turn this on log scale. I'll just delete this. You can see the longer term trend line. This is what I'm talking about. Nobody seems to be thinking about this except for investors, right? This is the trend, the super long, the mega long term trend line of crypto. This is 10 years of data, okay? This is 10 years of data. So it is a very, very, very strong, powerful chart. This is how I've been able to, um, you know, get a grip on Bitcoin, right? When everyone else is hyped out of their minds, I sold all my coins at 65,000, right? If you want to ask me someday, I'll explain it, but it's technical and fundamental and sentiment reasons why I knew that was the temporary top, right? So, right, like if people remember my YouTube channel from a long time ago, I basically went long uh, April, June, July, and then I sold it here. So I captured all of this move, right? So longer term charts, longer term charts. Okay, this is what I'm talking about in my idea. This is the weekly chart, 10 years of data. It's a very, very strong, powerful chart, right? And we've been in the uptrend. Okay, this is the right here, and we tested these points. Even the COVID crash brought us right into this. You can see this in my idea, right? So if you realize where we are floating right now inside of the large structure, right? If this is our weekly lower high, then we could pull back all the way down to 15K, all the way down to 10K and penetrate this to the downside. I'm talking about like 1 or 2 years from now, right? So people hyped out of their minds right now is because we're already at some relative top. Nobody was hyped out of their minds down here, right? Nobody's saying Bitcoin moon, 500,000 down here, right? Everyone's saying it up here because we've already come up. That's you know, the retail problem, right? Everybody's like hyped out of their minds after the price has gone up a lot. But the chart is telling us the truth right now. Weekly, we need a little more data, maybe a couple more weeks to confirm or deny if this turned into the lower high, which I keep telling people, watch out if this is lower high, watch out if this is lower high, right? Let's try not to FOMO. But how this would negate itself, right? If this is not going to go down, right? We just need to hold above 30,000 weekly close. We need to hold above it and then try to rally one more time in bull scenario. That's bull scenario, right? If we don't, we lose that, then bear scenario is definitely probably going to unfold. So again, this is my weekly idea. I'm just going to leave it in my profile. It's just been sitting there this whole time. That's the frame of big picture frame of reference that I have. Okay. So let me look at some. We already covered Cardano. Somebody requested sushi. Sushi. Okay, first off, you have to realize that this is a very, very small altcoin. Okay, so which means it's very, very correlated with Bitcoin. I'm gonna use Sushi USDT because there's a little more data on Binance International Exchange. So we'll just do very, very quick analysis. Okay, so right here, for right now, we have the resistance at 2378 on top. 2378. All right, we have immediate resistance right here at 1536. The initial IPO started at $9 and the low of $6 and the way pandemic low of 50 cents. So then I think that's all we really need to draw and then draw this trend line here. And now you can kind of understand what's happening with Sushi Coin on Binance. So it's essentially just kind of daily equilibrium tightening pattern. And yes, both bull and bear cases could be made, but this chart just is besides this side of IPO side, actually even this side, it's just copying Bitcoin. So this coin is very, very correlated with Bitcoin. So I would advise somebody, this is not financial advice. I mean, this is like educational. What I mean, I would like try to teach somebody that this is very, very correlated with Bitcoin. It looks exactly the same chart. Bitcoin rally, the top at 65,000, the fading down, the Dogecoin dump, right? China miner FUD, right? Then Bitcoin broke out of its triangle here and we rallied up, flash crash, and attempted rally in altcoins. That's the story of like every altcoin right now. So I would just play between these 3 or 4 levels on Sushi. Resistance 1555, 2330, support 890, support $6. And just watch for trend change on a daily, right? This is downtrend, this is uptrending, but because Bitcoin is at risk, right? The longer term is if this is lower high, then we're pulling back on Sushi Coin 635 or lower. Right, so we're at a key critical spot right now. Even on this chart, it's telling me right here is the tip of the triangle. So which way are we going to go? We're going to pull back down. We're going to break out and go up if Bitcoin goes up. If not, pull back down and go down, right? Regardless of the fundamentals. Crypto is very, very sensitive to price changes in Bitcoin, right? And so with this whole stream, the theme is correlations. Great. I'm glad this is helping people, right? So what I'm saying is I'm not trying to get too bearish or too bullish, right? I'm not trying to get too hyped or too afraid or too sad. It's just prepare yourself. Everything I learned in my own career is prepare yourself for 2 or 3 scenarios, like so you're ready, right? Let's go back to Bitcoin for a second, just really fast, okay? Just really fast. Prepare yourself. What am I talking about? Prepare yourself. If we're going downside on Bitcoin, right? Where are the downside levels? 42,000, 37,000, 32,000, 30,000. Mentally prepare yourself if that goes down. That's where we could go. Just have those levels. So when the rest of the world is panicking on Twitter and Reddit and everyone's basically screaming on the internet, you're already prepared. You're like, I know this is going to happen. I'm already ready for it. And I have some spots that I might buy, right, as a trader, already in my mind. And then the reverse is true. Well, if we continue to bounce for some reason, technical or fundamentals, then I'm already ready for that too. 50,000, 52,000, 60,000, 65, and then just big levels to the upside, 70, 80, 90, 100. I have my own proprietary strategy. So again, David, I can only answer one of your questions at a time per stream. So I did sushi analysis for you. Um, so Bitcoin USD, that's just something I would think about. All right. And I know I drew a lot of lines, but I'm just saying is just like mentally, you got to have some of these levels in your mind instead of a lot of people who are just like, you know, people who are not even using charts just look at the price and then hyping it in and say, we're going to 50, 500,000, right? It's like, people have to realize that the price has to actually go up first before the hype actually becomes real. So I just watch out for that. I've seen this happen before. Seen this happen before here at 14,000 top. Seen it happen here at the 20,000 top. Right? When things crash, nobody wants to buy here psychologically, right? You never hear the hype FOMO people down here. It's always here at the top. So you have to use charts and price analysis to protect yourself, downside or upside. All right. Does anybody else have a request in here? This turned into like super educational. They put a super educational. Well, I think one thing I will say though is, I can't answer every single person's question or chart, and like basically I can't, teach everything I know in one or two streams, right? So I encourage people to educate themselves, right? Because if you don't even know where to start, is just look on the front of TradingView, right? There's the education. There's always like 4, 5, 6 articles on the front page of TradingView, and then there's people's ideas, right? Or there's Google, right? If you don't want to buy books or even try to find the books, is just start on Google. If you have a stockbroker, start with the stockbroker education. There's articles there. Even I've read them all, right? Google information, I've read a lot of it, right? Even TradingView, I do look at other people's education ideas once in a while, right? Just see what other people are thinking. So if somebody's starting out, daily, I would recommend is your home base. Okay, daily charts are home base. The more you go inside, the faster the chart is going to move. And if you're not ready for, like basically if you don't have professional knowledge and skill, probably going to lose money trading, right? So stick to the longer term time frames. The problem is people have to wait. You know what I mean? You have to wait a whole 24 hours for this candle to close. So it depends on your trading style, right? There's different trading styles. And again, I encourage you, if somebody's new here, is just study first before you start trading. Study first, get the knowledge and skills that you need, right? Because the statistic is, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but 90 to 95% of traders who start trading always lose money. They lose some or all of their money, right? So trading is not easy. Investing is not easy. For example, a portfolio manager needs to study for at least, I think it's like 3, 5, 7 years. So you're fighting somebody in the market who's already studied their craft for 7 years straight. And then they get, their hedge fund experience at the firm for like 5 or 7 more years, right? So you're fighting somebody with 15, 20 years experience, and like somebody on day one, right, is going to come in and be like, what do you think is probably going to happen? That's why 90 to 95% of traders, investors lose some or all their money, right? So if you're here for technical analysis, right, I encourage you, study as much as you can, educate yourself as much as you can with the time and resources that you have. And we have a lot of resources, right? If you're already on TradingView, the front page is education, all of it. Educational ideas. There's so many of them right on the front page, right? Google, there's so many articles. There's so many places where you can learn. It's just a matter of, is somebody going to put in that work and time, right? Because I did in my life, you know what I mean? And I'm still doing it when I have free time. So, all right, this is getting way off topic. This turned into like educational off topic stream. But we basically covered, to wrap things up, we covered SPY, we covered Dow Jones, we covered NASDAQ, we covered gold, US oil, Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of these like top 4 or 5 altcoins like Maker, Litecoin, Cardano, right? Then we did some newer altcoins like SUSHI coin, right? And then we talked about weekly Bitcoin trends, daily Bitcoin trends. What is FTMO? Could you explain that? Okay. But I think someone had a question here in a comment. I would just say try to educate yourself, get the knowledge and the skills before you continue trading if that happened to your account. Because basically, right, there's a lot of things about trading, the actual chart skills, the fundamental news skills, the risk management, the analysis, right, what style you are. So if somebody, for example, lost a lot of money trading, then I would actually recommend to stop trading, figure out, so learn, try to educate yourself and try to figure out what the mistakes were, right? Or like hire a mentor or a coach or, just read some books on trading and try to figure out like what did you do that caused that type of loss, right? It could just be that maybe perhaps more knowledge and skill is needed. Okay, I would not recommend that. If like so someone's asking in the chat right now if somebody lost half of their trading account, should they do some kind of FTMO loan challenge where maybe I guess it sounds like they give you cash and they take 30% of what you make, but then you could also lose it money. So I would not recommend to do that. Again, this is not really financial advice. This is supposed to be a technical analysis chart stream. But most firms, I would say if somebody loses 50%, the account is automatically shut off. They would shut down the account and make that trader stop. Um, and they would figure out what they would most traders at firms, they have training and education before they start, you know what I mean? And so there's definite risk management, hard losses in place where if someone loses enough money, the trading account gets frozen and you have to talk with the upper management about what happened. So in your particular case, I would say probably you don't want to trade anymore if you lost 50% of your account. Just I would recommend, probably this is not financial advice, for education reasons though, is to stop trading, study more, and then paper trade. Don't trade with real money. Paper trade first, and make sure you have knowledge, skills, and strategies that are profitable on paper. You could prove it. You could prove it. That's why there's back testing. That's why there's back testing on TradingView right here on the bottom, right? You could back test strategies. You could also paper trade big crypto for fun or for practice, right? So if anybody's new here, right, and you're like just starting now, like don't trade with real money. You're 95% going to lose all your money, right? You just paper trade, study and paper trade first, back test strategies, indicators. That's what I did for a long. So I back tested every public indicator. I know what works and what doesn't, according to my style, right? Then Gemini, you could like you could paper trade right here. You just connect the paper trading and turn it on, and you could trade the USD pairs infinite amount of times, right? So you could practice day trading, you could practice swing trading, you could practice. I think you have to sign up for the account, right? So the actual P&L profit loss gets saved. But if you're new to trading or investing, that's probably the first thing I recommend you to do is paper trade. Don't use real money because again, you're it's like you're fighting a heavyweight champion of the world in boxing, right? Most people are gonna get knocked out as soon as they, even me, if I fought a heavyweight champion, I'm dead. You know what I mean? So the same thing, you're trading against traders, investors who have 10, 20 years, 5, 10, 20 years experience. And then someone who's just starting now is like, how could they possibly win? You know what I mean? So this is some real food for thought. I don't think anybody's saying this on YouTube or TradingView. You know what I mean? This is real talk we're having right now on this Friday stream. Again, this is just educational, okay? Educational is not financial advice. If you really need financial advice, You have to hire a professional financial advisor or stockbroker. I basically only use TradingView. I don't use MT4 or any other apps. Someone had that question. I just use TradingView. All the major tools that you have, it's on TradingView. But where you should start is learn technical analysis, like how do you analyze price and volume. That's the foundations of classical technical analysis. Like too many people, right? They put like 50 indicators on, and or at least like a couple, and then uh, that's not really technical analysis. Like for example, today in stock trading, um, I'll give you an older example. Okay, I need to make it clear. This is educational only example. Okay, education only for stock day trading. But this is what happens to people when they get destroyed in the market. I was trading ATER earlier this week, but you have to be on the right side of the trade. You have to know what's going on, right? So what happened is on this one particular day, we gapped up 60, 50, 60%. But then if you notice, the exact next day opened and closed down negative 35%. And then 2 days later, negative 40%, right? So somebody, traders out there lost money. Anybody who longed here, do you know what people were saying online at this exact spot on this close, $18? People were saying, oh, ATER is going to 30. ATER is going to 60 with no evidence at all, no technical chart evidence. And whenever I see that online, usually this happens. People get destroyed in the stock market, right? On trading. The same thing probably happened here too in the end of August, right? People getting destroyed right here. But that's why we need knowledge and skills, right? I traded Ethereum. I actually made money on Ethereum. I didn't lose money on Ethereum on Monday, Tuesday, right? So that's why you have to get good at like, what is this doing in the price? What is this doing at the price? What is this doing at the price? What does this mean down here, right? Analyzing price and volume first, mainly just price, like focus 80% of your attention on the price and understanding what is happening in the market, right? So many things I'm seeing right off the bat, just like boom, 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 right? So for a beginner, just stay on your daily chart and don't do, I would recommend for like analysis practice is for stocks and crypto to not pick the most like esoteric junk garbage stocks or crypto, is pick the big players. So if you're trying to learn how to analyze Bitcoin, crypto, like don't pick the most random coin, just use Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin's the king, right? Of crypto. Bitcoin. Don't even start with Ethereum, just start with Bitcoin and learn how to analyze the Bitcoin chart, right? If you're trying to start with stocks, then start the indexes, start with S&P 500, start with Dow Jones, start with Nasdaq, the three big indexes, right? Maybe not Russell 2000, that's too small. But S&P 500, that's why every stream I do S&P 500 and Bitcoin. Those are two most important for stocks and crypto that you need to know, right? And if you master that, you get really good at it, right? You'll probably be right eventually if you keep practicing enough and sticking to your strategies and stuff like that. Okay, but trying to learn everything from one stream it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? So, but in these streams, I'm here mainly just to do chart analysis, right? I went 45 minutes talking about off-topic education, but usually what we do here is just technical chart streams, and I do it like once a week. Um, but market's closed right now, stock market. That's why I'm spending extra time. So if anybody has any extra uh, stock chart or crypto chart requests, please type it in the chat now before we wrap things up. Just let me know. I'm gonna take a quick water break. All right, well, before we end, I should say I'm streaming live on TradingView right now. So if you want to give me a follow on TradingView, YouTube, or Twitch, go ahead and do so. I stream. My main schedule is once a week, sometime on the weekends, right after the markets are all closed, so we can like review or prepare for the upcoming market next week. And I also have a Discord chat group right now, Discord chat group, and I post some of my ideas in there. They're more longer term ideas, right? Because not everybody's a day trader or swing trader. Some people are more longer term traders and investors. My live streams, I labeled them and put them in there about what we talked about. If somebody can't make a can't make the live stream, then you could request one chart. And then I have my weekly preparation, just a very general basic watch list for things to watch out for. Like today, why did we get extra volatility in the S&P 500 is today, and this is why people need to learn like what's happening in stocks and crypto. Stock market is today's triple witching day where options trading, futures trading, stock index options trading closes, you get extra volatility today, right? So was today the day to be super aggressive? No, not really, if you knew what the stock schedule was, right? And then if you're keeping up with the fundamental news on CNBC, Wall Street Journal, and Bloomberg, you'll know that we had a little bit of crypto bearish news today in the past couple of days. We had some um, vaccine news, we had some China news, we had global news, right? And this all contributing to, and then we had a technical resistance here. That's all contributing to this pullback down here on SPY. So, all right. If nobody has any requests, maybe I'll do one more chart and then we'll close it up here. So for crypto, because it seems like a lot of people are trading crypto on TradingView globally, is we're focused on the total chart again. Total. So again, what's total? That's the ticker symbol. Crypto market cap total is what we're talking about. All the top altcoins, the entire crypto market cap in trillions of dollars. And we're on a day chart. Every candle's 1 day. So if we're really honest with ourselves and we're looking from, let's say, the pandemic low crash, let's just erase everything, right? If we just turn everything off, we're honest with ourselves and we know how to analyze charts, is what is happening, right? The play-by-play history is, yes, we crashed, everything crashed during the pandemic, and then everything recovered after the pandemic. But then why did we recover? Why did we recover? There's many fundamental reasons if you want to look that up, right? And chart reasons, there are reasons as well. But this turned out to be the relative bottom spot. This is the top spot. This is the bottom spot. Then we rallied back up this whole time. Then we got resistance breakouts, hype, even some FOMO, some YOLO plays by people globally, right? And we ended up here. Then the sentiment started to fade here. A lot of people were making irrational calls at this spot. Technically, on the charts, there's reversal signal. Also, fundamentally, there's some issues with news and such. And then we pulled back a lot. More bearish fundamental bad news. Everybody's selling off. Stop losses being triggered. Hedge funds shorting. Robots shorting, right? But then we found the support level at 30,000. That's why you got to get good at support, resistance, trend. You'll always hear me say those three things of price: support, resistance, trend. That's the mantra of a trader and investor on technical analysis, right? If you don't draw anything at all, if you don't put any manual work on your charts at all, then there's actually a problem, because the analysis is so strongly centered around support, resistance, trend lines. Like if you watch a lot of pros, if you watch a lot of professionals, their ideas, some of them on TradingView or on their courses, right? You'll notice a lot of them doing that, right? Like I can see a trend line right here. You can just draw it. Boom, right there, right? So then this touch point was predictable in time, you know, 8 months before it happened, right? That one spot, right? So if you draw nothing, it looks like the price is floating in the middle of nowhere, and it's so hard to do anything, right? That's why you have to use the tools of technical analysis on the price, put in some manual sweat equity, like work on the charts, right? Don't just stare at the charts. That's what I always tell people I teach is like you got to work on it a little bit. Technical analysis is a type of job. It's like a work, right? Even the top resistance side trend line, you could draw that. Then the resistance horizontal, let me turn this a different color. I feel like yellow. With the yellow horizontal, right? That was our resistance point. And once this low pivot was set at $1.18 trillion, right? Now you have the two levels we're playing in between, and then the midpoint. I'm on a log chart, by the way, so the chart's going to look slightly different for everybody. But somewhere in here is the middle point. You know what I'm saying, right? So now you have some general idea of where we could pull back to. If we pull back in Bitcoin, we could pull back all the way somewhere down here, right? Like down. If it comes down, right? So you see how if you turn it off and you don't do any price analysis, drawing support, resistance, trend lines, there's no way to know where are we going. But if you actually draw something, you can have some general forecastable idea like, oh, wait a second, maybe here someday. If it pulls down. And if it goes back up, oh, we already drew this one, maybe here, right? And then a really bullish scenario, oh, maybe way up here. But that would mean the crypto market doubles, which means Bitcoin is $100,000. So maybe not that one right away on the top side, but right, got to put in the work on your charts. And again, this is what I mean by the study and practice is I remember just when I was learning and getting started, I actually started on newspaper. Can you believe it? I started on newspaper on technical analysis. I still remember this. I had a pen, two pens, and a newspaper. That's how I started. I was analyzing the Dow Jones. And I just, like, before I could even afford TradingView and all that stuff, is like, before I even knew TradingView existed, I just found a newspaper one day. I was inspired by Warren Buffett, but then I was more of I was really drawn to technical analysis. And then I started, and then if you know the Wall Street Journal, if you open that section, the Financial Business Times section, there's a whole number section, right, of like stocks that are moving, and then there's three little small charts of Dow Jones and SP 500, and then you start getting to work, right? Is where's the resistance level, where are support levels, where's the trend? But it's hard to always draw it because we're in uptrend. So like people think like this is the only thing that's possible. It's not really not because if you this is what I mean. TradingView, you guys know there's a replay feature, right? You can replay moments in time. You can rewind time. So you click replay. Not for this. If you like on Bitcoin, you could replay stuff. The price action. So I used to study this a lot. I would replay things like on Coinbase and erase everything. This is how you can study charts, right? You just rewind. So I'm going to replay. Let's go to the 2017 high. Right there. That's how you use replay. You just click the spot, and then the speed is right here, right? And then for the stream, I'm going to make it go faster. But then you click play, and you see what happens every day, right? This is how you practice. This is what I mean, how you can practice on back tested data. Or you look back in the past, like what would happen? You ask yourself, what would I do here? How would I analyze this? I'm freezing this in time, April 2018, right? So where's the support? Where's the resistance right here? Where's the support right here? Support right here. Support here. Resistance, resistance. What's the trend? Downtrending, right? In a downward sloping megaphone, right? So it's not going up anymore. I hope people realize that, right? Very key important lesson. You keep downtrending. Then you test the resistance point and you just call it out play by play, pulling back, testing that support, pulling back, right? And then this line is negated now. So this upper yellow trend line is gone now. So that's over, right? Now I'm seeing something different. This one here, now we're testing that on the top. Okay, descending triangle pattern, just like we're in right now, or like we were in, right? So now it's getting stuck there, testing it 2-3 times on the top, right? So that's something you got to do on your own time and just practice over and over again. Cryptos, stocks, whatever time frame you're doing. But then if you're starting out, start out on 1 day chart. That's the home base for almost every trader, right? The 1 day chart. This is how you get good. So then if you think about this pattern, you know crypto, right? Right? Right here is you understand that this is a bearish descending pattern. So the most likely scenario is the bear breakdown, right? And then fast forward in time and what happened? Look at the bear breakdown. Okay, so this is how you guys could practice on data, on real time data, like back testing, replaying. That's how you practice. Just do that over and over and over and over and over again. Over and over and over and over again. Right? We have a request. Yeah, I can't answer too many questions because my journey is different than everybody else's journey. But everybody starts from the beginner, you know what I mean? So that's why I could talk about it. Beginner, and then you study your knowledge and skills and try to get to intermediate, keep studying and practicing, and then you get to advanced, right? Then at someday you know, people might get to professional level with a lot of work and study, practicing, trading, making a lot of mistakes to you, right? Let's do algo. Everyone likes to talk about algo. Okay. Okay, but it sounds like you're a day trader right now. Yes, it's at support right now. But if you look at the daily chart, it's at an intraday support of 190. Right? So it sounds like you're a day trader, which is fine. Right? Pulling back. But again, if we just look at algo or one altcoin in isolation and we don't understand Bitcoin or the larger global theme right now in the trend, right? We have to understand the potential downside risk on algo. All right. So let's play two scenarios right now of algo. Right? If we Fibonacci to get our quick support and resistance levels, okay? Yes, it's at a support level, but you know, you essentially had this double top resistance right here, okay? So that was the bearish reversal signal right here, this right there, okay? So if that is a double top, longer term, okay, algo could pull back negative 25% down to 140. Okay, this is a longer term analysis, right? 6 months, a year, right? Of fading down, right? Definitely possible on longer term charts, right? Because algo has been in an uptrend, but is this the start of a downtrend? It's very well possible, because if you study the charts long enough, you'll understand after altcoins and Bitcoin goes on a big run, what happens? It sells off. Big run, sell off. Run up, sell off. Attempted rally, fail. Attempted rally, fail. Big rally, then what do you think might happen next, right? Based upon the pattern of longer term analysis, not just day trading, right? If you're staring at a 5-minute chart and you're only looking at this like that, yeah, it looks like you might bounce up 1% or 2%, right? But the big picture of algo, right? Of where is algo, where do we stand on algo in the big picture is from July lows till now, it's up 150 to 200%. Okay, and the daily uptrend is at risk right now because you were uptrending here, but if this pulls back and doesn't stay, if it doesn't hold above $1.50, algo's in trouble, right? Because it needs to do this and keep doing this to stay up. If it doesn't, then based upon the previous price history of algo, how many times has this happened? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times, right? Is this the 6th time where it's going to go up and pull back down? So that's why for traders, analysts, always start on the daily or even weekly, monthly, right? It's just sometimes there's not enough price data on cryptos, But start at least on a daily so you understand, get a big picture. You could just turn everything off, understand like, wait, we are not at the bottom of algo. We are not down here at it used the lowest low on this chart was somewhere around like 9 cents on algo. Now we're $1.93. So anybody who went long here, which hedge funds and accumulation institutions accumulating, they did go long here. They did buy algo there, right? So they would be selling it to beginners and retail traders right now. That's how the industry works, right? You gotta watch out for that. It's called Wyckoff theory, the composite operator, right? The composite operator is accumulating right here. It's tremendous markup, and then we might see a period of distribution up here. Wyckoff method, right? That's one educational resource. Oh, great. Thanks for following. I am live here on TradingView. I have a YouTube and a Twitch channel and a Discord group in my profile. So again, it's hard to tell like what skill level people are on the stream. You know what I mean? So that's why I try to just explain everything in as much detail as I can, and different style too. Like some people are investors, some people are, you know, short-term traders, like a 5-minute trader or swing trader on the daily. So I try to hit all those points. But if you rewind the stream, if you play this back, basically where we stand with Bitcoin is you have to prepare yourself on Bitcoin for potential downside. Prepare yourself for potential downside. Because again, it's the same kind. Let me use a different chart. The same type of mentality applies for Bitcoin, right? If you zoom out on Bitcoin, you know, Bitcoin's not $3,000 or $4,000 or $300 anymore. Right now, it's $47,273 at time of this recording. And we already had the huge rally run up, right? Let me turn all this off. We already had the huge rally run up, right? This little pink line is the start of the pandemic, and this is the end of the pandemic high, right? April 15th, which just so happens to be like tax day, right? In USA, there's some weird correlation. It always happens. Something always happens on tax day. But you know, you went from here to here, and the percentage increase was huge, 1,283%. Then you had a pullback of 50%. Then you had a retrace bounce of 70%. And so the bigger picture is you could kind of tell if you just like back away from your computer screen on a daily, you look here and wait, you can see this thing is aiming up. You know what I mean? This thing is angling. It's a bit parabolic to be specific, but it's angling up. This is angling down. This was angling up, but now it's starting to angle down, right? So you want to be careful of that. You want to be careful of that. We don't want too much hype FOMO at this exact spot. It's because when this happens in markets, it could go either way, right? Because sometimes you could say that about this exact spot here in January, February 2021, is that you could say, wait a second, isn't this the same problem, the big pullback? Yes. But on this part of the chart, it's pure parabolic up. So you're just getting a support bounce on the parabola support, right? The diagonal support line. This side is different because you're not coming from down here like that. You came down then up. So when that happens, right, long-term scenarios, you can have a downtrend confirmation and hit back Bitcoin, our long-term downside target of 20,000, 15,000, 10,000 down here, right? That's the trend reversal. If this does not break, we need to break and hold above $65,000 within the next year on Bitcoin, or Bitcoin is in trouble. Meaning we have to do this. We could pull back like that. It could also tighten up. So the third scenario is you just go sideways. That could actually happen, range bound, right? This is another pattern setting up, and then we would have a big breakdown or up, right? That's a real technical analysis chart pattern I'm drawing right here. Or right, or the bullish pattern, you hold the higher low and you have to retest the 65,000 and continue to make higher highs. But understanding where we are on the stock market and then the news that's happening right now, we pulled back because technical chart reasons. That's a little too in depth for the stream right now. Beyond the scope of the stream is why we rejected, pulled back. And so now very short term is, are we starting the downtrend reversal right now as we speak? It's very possible that this downtrend can reverse, right? So that's why I always say to people on the streams is prepare yourself for both sides. Bearish side, meaning downside, red side, right? If you pull back here, where will we come down to? 40,000, 30,000, anywhere in between there, right? If this happens to stop here, higher low, and rebound, then we're going to have to push through 50,000, 55,000, 60,000, which is our all-time high, 65,000. Okay? Because there are indicators that are pointing like, wait, it might happen, but we're right in the middle of the road, the fork in the road. Do you know what I mean? Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? We need more price action data. Or we need real big confirmation. Like if you see here, we can apply the same logic and thinking to when we were at the top here. Because somebody could have said the same thing I'm saying right now at 65,000 in a yellow box. Like right here, if we were right here in the blue highlight, it's kind of a similar feeling, right? You come up a lot and then you pull back down and then it bounces and then you're like thinking, now what? So that's the tricky part about technical analysis is really, really being sensitive to price and price patterns, that your knowledge and skills is so ready to go and it's good enough that you know, okay, if I ignore the news and the hype and all the people screaming on Twitter and Reddit that Bitcoin's going to the moon, right? Or stocks going to the moon, or Bitcoin 500,000 at this exact spot in time, because everyone was screaming that on Twitter and the Discord chats around the world. And for me, though, I used my technical analysis and said, this is a bearish reversal pattern at resistance. I am out. I'm done. Simple as that. I thought about it a lot, but right, if you study the charts enough, you know this is bad. That's bad. This resistance, how many times was tested? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 20 times if you include every single candle, right? We're getting stuck here at the 60,000, 65,000 range. Then at the same time, people are going so crazy online about, their bullish calls on Bitcoin and whatever like that. And I knew there's a problem, so I'm out. I was already in crypto for a long time, and I'm out here. And then we had the bear breakdown. So what I'm saying is, if we're gonna continue down, right? If we're gonna pull back down, we're gonna see some kind of loss of support. Like if you draw a support line sideways, just like that, you'll notice that here is the breakdown of support. Right there. This exact spot, you lose 49,000 and you have bearish news like we did, the Dogecoin crash that started from here to here. There's an event, but there's also bad news and such. You crash down, right? So the same logic applies here. Is our line in the sand right now is basically 44, 43,000. Here, you do have a relative resistance spot here at 50, 51, 52,000, right? So the same thinking applies. If we cannot, in the yellow here, bounce up to the yellow box and break through it like that, it's not an uptrend anymore. Just being very objective on the 1-day chart. It's not an uptrend anymore, right? And the most likely scenario is if we reject from it or even come down from now is we're going to retest the bottom support at 44,000 or 45,000 and a battle is going to take place there. If we cannot bounce up from that to recover, Bitcoin is probably in trouble, and then we're going to see this happen again. Maybe not that magnitude, because if it's just a normal regular pullback, it'll just pull back to a support level to 42 on the way down, then 30, 38, 42, then 38, then 32, and then 30 on the way down. So there's no Fibonacci drawn on the chart right now. There's no Fibonacci. You can analyze price without using Fibonacci. What I'm saying is support prices. And if you don't know what that is, then check Google or TradingView definitions for support and resistance. But what I'm trying to point out here is to make it very easy on people is the same kind of setup, a similar, it's not the exact same, but a similar setup is, happening, right? So it should be very obvious what I'm saying, right? You want to watch out for it. And what I'm saying, we're at a fork in the road, meaning when you come to a fork in the road, it's either left or right, right? So here, the price is here, it's either left or right, like that for Bitcoin right now, right? So to confirm if we go left or right, then the price actually has to actually physically move in that direction, right? So that's why I'm always giving people two targets. So where would the downside target be? For like the first support, 43,000, 40,000, right? That's the downside support fork in the road. You know what I mean? Falling down like that. You support. The upside fork in the road, resistance would be big resistance, 50,000, 52,000. But we've already tried to test it. But again, this is not over yet, right? Because if you look at it, it's right in the middle of the fork in the road. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's a little hard right now for people online to say like, oh, this is exactly what's going to happen, right? Because if you're just staring at the daily chart, right, it could go both ways. But if you really, really know, if you really, really understand Bitcoin on a daily chart and what a daily chart actually is, right? Then yes, you would understand that it's this feeling right now in the market. It's literally like this thing right here, this type of setup. Although you'll notice, if you want me to be extremely specific, it looks, you can kind of tell it looks almost the exact same as where I circled the two lines. Those three candles exactly. This is why I'm saying you could get a bullish break on the 1 hour EMA uptrend, right? Because I've seen this before, this type of thing happen before, right? If you study the charts enough, you get the resistance. So on the big top, 65 and 52,000, right? You're pulling back here. You find a support level of the blue. We just found the support level in the blue. It bounces up attempt. We just bounced up attempt. And then you fold down for one or two candles, right? It looks pictured snapshot almost the same. Almost the same. The two yellow circles with the three candles inside. I don't know if you guys can see it, but right. So if we prepare ourselves for two scenarios, yes, we might bounce up for a short term and then test the resistance at 48, 49, 50,000. But if it fails and we can't break above this 50, 52,000, we're going to pull back, right? Because bears are going to say, no, 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 bulls. Can't pass this, and downtrend ensues. Maybe not extreme downtrend because this was capitulation based upon Dogecoin failure. The Dogecoin meme coin failure pump on SNL TV show, right? So that failed and Doge crashed and sentiment crashed and there's some bearish fundamentals there. But that's why we use technical analysis to help look at the previous price levels to understand some potential scenarios for future price levels. Is one type of analysis. So you have to understand, right? And again, technical analysis is a real method, right? There is a real, basically like kind of more right way or a more wrong way to do things, right? Because I've seen people on streams before, or like some random people, like they'll do this. They'll be like, they'll draw a trend line like this or something. I'm like, what? Right? That doesn't even make any sense, unless they're trying to draw like this is just pointing down, right? But that's not how you draw a trend line. A trend line, that's not, or this is not how you draw support. Like you don't just do it like that, right? There's a real proper way to do things in the markets, right? Or like one time I saw somebody do something like this, and I was like, what is this person doing, right? So it doesn't make any sense. So there's a real way. That's why I'm saying people have to study the real knowledge and the skills, and then you have a right method, the real classical traditional method of doing it. That's why you see a lot of professionals who have like 20, 40, 60 years experience, right? They don't even use like RSI or MACD. They don't even use moving averages. Um, like some of the best of the best in the world. One of my mentors, he taught me, he said he only draws 4 lines on a chart. You know what I mean? And his lines are so like well thought out. And it's like, that's absolutely incredible, right? How a master approaches the charts. But what I'm saying is there's a real method to it. You can't just pick random stuff and just start like clicking everywhere. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like this is not technical analysis. You know what I mean? So, because in terms of trend lines, that's not the right way to do it. In support lines too, if it's just like, if you just put one way down here, it's like, that's not support line. If you put one way in the middle here, it's like, that's not a support line for now. You know what I mean? It could be a target, but that's not a real support line, right? So there's a real method to technical analysis. And again, I'm not trying to knock down anybody, right? Or make anybody feel bad. I'm just telling real truth and information. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people are just running on hype. But the reason why I started No FOMO charts is I'm thinking like, hey, let's get real. What's the truth? What's the real knowledge? What's the real information? What's the real technique? What's the real way to do technical analysis based on like classical American technical analysis? And let's just do that. And let's apply it to all the assets that we can find. Assets we can find. Stocks, crypto, Forex, right? Technical analysis works on all global stocks, right? We've even had people on this stream about Australia stocks and London stocks and such. But again, I always get on weekends. There's a lot of educational questions, so you know I can't answer all of them. So I just encourage people, don't depend on me. You know what I mean? Don't depend on me. Educate yourself. Educate yourself on how to read and write charts, basically, just like your own language. Imagine trying to succeed in life and somebody can't read or write or speak, right? The chances are very low. It's like somebody just becomes like, um, you can't function, basically, right? So same thing for whether you're doing chart analysis or you're doing financial analysis or you're a programmer, right? You need to learn how to read, write, and speak the language, the business, the knowledge of whatever you're trying to do here in trading and investing, whether you're a trader or investor, if you use charts or not. Warren Buffett doesn't use any charts, and he's one of the richest investors in the world. Took him his whole life, right? He does financial analysis. He uses numbers, the company report, financial report, right? I gravitate more towards charts because I like charts, and I like I respond well to pictures and such, and like charts and lines and stuff. Where other people, I try to teach them, like my friends and stuff, I try to teach them technical analysis. Everyone's like confused. It doesn't click with them for some reason, but for me, it clicks really, really easily and well. So that's why I like technical analysis charts. So, again, this is just, now it's kind of coming off topic education, but just do whatever works for you is what my mentor taught me. So my mentor was a financial analyst, portfolio manager, right? He was more of a numbers guy. I was more of a charts guy, right? So if somebody hands me a spreadsheet, it doesn't really click with me that well. You know what I mean? So, but if you give me a chart, boom, I immediately know what's happening, what to do. So over a lot of practice and study. So I encourage you guys, please educate yourself. This is not financial advice. Please, try to just study and get the knowledge for yourself. Become literate in financial knowledge and trading, investing, technical analysis, so you could do it on your own someday. But my stream here is mainly for technical charts, usually, unless we get a lot of questions, right, about education and stuff like that. So, what I'm saying is, if you want me to look at like Ethereum or Bitcoin or S&P 500 or Apple stock, right, or Microsoft or like Activision Blizzard, right? Video games so popular. We could thank you, right? So, you know, there's so many stocks out there. And it's interesting, like when the Australian traders come on, it's really interesting to look at their stocks because I've never looked at it before. So it's like a fresh challenge. It's new. But, you know, um, if you guys want, I don't know if no one has any comments or anything, we'll try to wrap it up here. But I know people came in maybe towards the end, so maybe I'll do two more. Okay. So if I'm gonna end it, I'll end it with total index and S&P 500 because the total index again is the entire crypto market cap. It's basically the entire cryptocurrency market price. So it's the index of the whole entire crypto market. It literally is the entire crypto market price. If you added everything up in dollars and put on a chart, it's mainly Bitcoin, but right, it includes the altcoins. So this is extremely important. If you're serious about technical analysis on the charts here, you have to factor in total, right? Because again, how did somebody, maybe they knew we were going to reverse here before anybody else did? The total chart, the resistance point. Resistance, resistance. So if somebody is extremely sensitive to charts, they had 1 day to sell, or maybe 3 days to sell, right? Because this whole thing was setting up a reversal signal anyways. That's maybe too advanced, but if you just look at it this way, whenever you get a resistance rejection, right? Even this looks like a meme face right here on the side. Hey, how do I do that? Right? You just put up a meme face on the resistance, right? Make it more fun for you guys. Then there's a problem, right? You have two of these guys up here, these blue circles on the resistance, right? And there's a problem whenever you have a price ceiling on the resistance, okay? So you have to draw that though. You have to draw that though. You can't just look at a chart like this and be like, I know exactly. I mean, somebody could if they have a lot of experience, but if you're starting out like beginner intermediate, you have to draw it and then lock it and save it. Because TradingView, this side note, sometimes TradingView doesn't save stuff. Because if you draw it here, sometimes it'll like move or it'll like disappear. So I would draw it and then lock it, right click and lock it in the chart. Now you can't move it anymore. And then save it, save your template on the top right. If you really, really need it, then publish it and save it to your account, whatever you're doing, or print it out, or even take a picture on your phone. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, like 20% of the time, TradingView doesn't save it, or it could just be my computer in the cloud not saving. But that happens a lot. So, just side note. But again, we're looking at Bitcoin just for this year, right? If you don't want to look at the entire life of Bitcoin, it's just this year, the entire cryptocurrency market cap just barely touched that resistance point. And then if you're very experienced in the charts, right, you could start to think we might have a problem here. Because if you looked here on May, we tested this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So the first time was the clue, but then we had the El Salvador announcement that they're launching, which didn't start well. And that's a sell the news event. If you've been in stocks and cryptos enough, it's the end of the event because the El Salvador event started here. So it's the end if you think about it psychologically, right? It's the closing of the book, so to speak, right? Then boom, you get the bear breakdown, right? And then if you use other indicators and tools, you'll notice that yes, we're losing power on the way up here. So it's weakening right here. Also, if you use other tools, right, maybe beyond the scope of this stream, but there are several tools giving flashing warning signs for people, for more advanced traders, and then sentiment too is everyone gets super hyped usually when it's towards the end spot. So again, since we drew the resistance though, we can't just leave it hanging there. You have to draw the support. So where's the support? Right down here. Okay, I try to make a box equal for you guys so you can see, right? So now you're stuck between these two levels. Now you have some kind of general grip on the market, and you could tell, okay, if you have these two spots, and you could even cut it in half, right? Somewhere just loosely drawing the yellow line in the middle, right? That's basically halfway, and then that candle wick basically touched the halfway point. So do you see how this all makes kind of sense? If you do basic technical analysis, right? You draw the halfway point. So you drew your resistance up here, you drew your support down here, and then you have some general middle line just in case if you need it, right? And it's good to have that. I always like to do that. And then if you draw trend lines proper way, you could even tell if you're really sensitive and drew a tight trend line, it was already under there for a long time. You see here, this is a problem already. You already had the pullback and the retest. So there's like 2 or 3 reasons why somebody could have foreseen this is a problem up here before getting wrecked in the market. Unfortunately, if that happened to people, right? If they're very sensitive and they understand technical analysis, you would know on the way up here at end of August to September, this is a yellow flag right here. And then this is the obvious red flag, the huge candle. It's confirmed that a lot of professionals or aggressive traders, they knew, okay, here we go, time to short, and boom, they destroy the market. It was almost $300 billion lost on that one day. Big day for crypto, right? So again, that's just how many lines did I draw? 4, right? I drew 2 boxes and 2 lines. You can even draw one more just to get the resistance trend line up here. This is really tight. So you probably need to draw this on like a intraday, like a 4-hour, 1 hour, but on daily, you can still do it on a daily, right? So this super upward sloping channel was finally broken at that one spot, end of August. Very suspicious. Then it rallied into the resistance, very suspicious. And on other indicators, you pull back, right? The same similar psychology is happening if you erase these trend lines and then you draw a new one, including the recent price action. Is what happened. We fell down out of the new trend line, the secondary trend line, this one, and consolidating here. So again, in my streams and my ideas and my streams, I keep telling people is we need to rally up here to test this. If it's truly bullish and we're going to 100,000 in 3 years from now, this eventually needs to reverse at some point here and go up like that, break through 60,000 Bitcoin and continue up. But if it does not, now you have 2 resistance zones to work against, right? It's not impossible because if you zoom back in April, we did have multiple resistance zones, but it was still pretty bullish sentiment, right? Like think about it too. How many people do you know online and internet, your friends, your family, like really wanting to buy Bitcoin right now? Right now, right? So there's a sentiment gauge too. After this crash, bulls are gone. You know what I mean? Not gone completely, but bulls got really hurt their accounts for this period of time, right? So it's just the sentiment is not there anymore, like we were. Also, pandemic has a lot to do with it too, because it's different than 6 months ago, where we were in the pandemic and the way it was affecting like vaccines and the psychology, right? Because we were in America, we started to open up right here during this time too, in like April, May, June. Like people were going outside without masks back then because America almost opened up in the pandemic. I don't know if you guys remember that if you're in the USA or your question. I mean your country. But America tried to reopen here, and then COVID cases started getting bad again, and then we had Dogecoin as well. So there's some relationship just to nature in general, and like people and psychology, right? Talking about stocks as well. It's not just crypto. There's technical setup here. Boom. So again, right here is the questionable spot because you see the loss of the trend line is always a yellow flag. So now we have these 2 new trend lines. Okay. And unless we hold and keep going up, we need to hold the support price, right? Pretend it's Bitcoin. It basically almost is, right? The whole crypto market. We need to hold this and keep going up and retest. That's the best case bullish scenario we have right now in the past for the next 3 months. basically. If it doesn't work, okay, we would likely retest the bottom support. If it fails, then we're pulling back down. That's probably likely scenario for next 3 months. That's why I keep saying we're at the fork in the road right now, because it's happened twice. This setup has happened 2 times in terms of losing the trend line, consolidating sideways, and then we try to rally but fail. And again, is this some potential bearish pattern setting up? Possible. So right now we are really in the fork in the road. So what could flip things? Okay, it's not just charts, it's news about crypto. If something really good happens about crypto, like ETF gets approved in US SEC stock exchange, that would be pretty bullish for crypto. What else? If something gets legalized in crypto, like, if some company legalizes crypto, because the reason, for example, we got the fake news on Walmart, Litecoin pumped up like 35%, right? Can you imagine if some major corporation in the next 3 months says we are accepting all top 5 cryptocurrencies? That's pretty bullish, right? Or just hype and FOMO kicks in again because of there's some good reason on the charts or fundamentally, right? But then the bearish cases, the downside cases, would be something like stock market pulls back and continues to crash down and pull back down. It's already starting to around Dow Jones. Or if there's a government regulation, USA bans Bitcoin, then definitely we are crashing hard. We are crashing hard. If the USA government ever bans Bitcoin or cryptos, we're in big trouble, right? The market. So we've already seen that happen, like China miner crackdown. When China banned miners in trading, this is what happens, right? That's what happens when when a president of the United States says Bitcoin is bad on Twitter. What happens? This happens. He said it right on this day. The top of that. I still remember that day when that tweet came out, right? And we know what happens when disasters happen. That happened, right? So if none of those reasons actually happen, then it could just be technical reasons, sell off, and then fear and FUD kicks in, and everyone's like, crypto's dead, crypto's dead. If we really break below 30,000 Bitcoin and we crash down, people are going to start screaming, crypto's dead. We're crashing down to $100. Like, people are just going to flip their stories, right? It always happens every year, every time. So that's why, long story short, is just watch for the price in the market right now. If you're really, really intermediate and advanced, then you could use the intraday price, inside day, 4 hours, 1 hours, to even get a little more sense of what's happening in the market in terms of where are we leaning, what direction are we leaning right now? Because intraday, we did on the El Salvador crash, we were bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, and now we're bearish, red right now, down. We see the resistance. We went from a support to a resistance. So even if you zoom in, the same support and resistance concept of technical analysis applies. You crash down, you bounce once, you crash down to where? Support. You bounce again up to where? Resistance. Now you crash down to where? At least the halfway point. That's exactly where we are right now. That's exactly where we are right now. Okay? So again, if you're intraday, right, you just play between these two levels on total market cap. I mean, I should probably flip back to Bitcoin at this point, but it's the same psychology for Bitcoin applies. You just have to draw your lines in the sand. Not your lines, but where the Bitcoin price lines in the sand. Where's the resistance, or where's the support? And where's like the, you don't always have to draw the half line, but this is the very definition of consolidation, sideways price movement, right? You just draw a parallel channel. There's a little education, right? Parallel channel. It draws the halfway point. Get your touch points in there. Touch points for the most part. And now we're consolidating here. So I will watch out for the price. What's happening there? Okay. So that was my long 20 minutes on Bitcoin. I mean, let's go to S&P 500, okay? SPX. This is the stock market, S&P 500. Okay, this is literally the last one. All right, this is literally the last one. Okay. So fresh drawing, because it's probably confusing for people, is the resistance first. Where's the resistance? Right here at 4541. Right here on the top. Good, right here on the top. Then where's support on the downside? Support, immediate support, where we are right now, we lost this support, 4480. We're probably going to test 4421 and then 4374. Then there's a bigger one down here, but I won't draw that one for now. Try not to confuse people. Right, and then we have our trend line. So then where are our trend lines? Here, right? You see how many touch points you get there, and then here, resistance. So now does it make more sense? You just, how many, even just drawing two lines, you can understand the S&P 500 trend, right? You draw four, we just drew 2, 4, 6 lines, and now you understand technical analysis. This is the resistance trend line. This is the support trend line. These are supports down here. These are resistance here. And then we broke through the trend line on the downside. That is bad. Okay, that is bad. We tried to rally up in the S&P 500. We broke down, tried to rally here for 2 days, fail, bear breakdown today on Triple Witching Friday in stock market, right? So then if we continue to pull back on a daily, where are our targets? 4421, 4371 on the downside, right? It's stock market will never crash like that because there's circuit breakers protecting it on the downside. You guys can look that up. Right? And so S&P, same thing with Dow Jones, QQQ. It's somewhere down here we're going to find a low and then attempt to bounce, right? Unless we have extreme bearish fundamental news that happens in the next month, right? It's going to pull back and then try to retest this eventually, right? I was surprised we didn't bounce back up, but it's because we had so much bad news and events happen in 7 days, 10 days, almost 2 weeks. Okay, so that's the analysis. Bearish scenario is you pull down and try to bounce. Bullish scenario is you immediately set the lower candle and start reversing, and right, you just pummel through all these resistances to get back to the resistance up here. All right, we have official last request. MATIC. So daily. Okay, MATIC USDT. So this guy's asked for the 2 and 3 minutes of MATIC. Okay, so just real quick, we'll start on a daily, just really fast. Just know the resistance at 254, 176, support 120, support dollar. So now that we got these 4 levels in mind, right? We draw a trend line too, because that'll carry over into the shorter term time frames, right? So if we look at a longer term, before we jump into intraday, is right, it's turning into this downward sloping wedge on the daily, a giant weekly almost bull pennant, almost, right? It's not quite yet because we need one more touch point on the bottom. I guess you could call these 2 touch points, but so we could call it a giant bull flag, right? After the 2021 run up, it's turning to this. But you have to notice that we're towards the top side of that trend line resistance, right? So now that we have that in mind, let's quickly go inside. And now we know we had the bounce up to resistance. We're in the resistance zone right now, the upside on that trend. Okay, we're still in the upside resistance, but then now we're getting to more intraday support and resistance. So where's our intraday resistance? 177 and 118. Okay, keep checking. Right, we'll go in. I'm running out of chart space. But now we're on the 5 minute. Okay, this is probably, you're very familiar with 5 minute, right? If we're looking at 5 minutes, right? Turn on an EMA. All right, immediate resistance $1.50. Okay, this resistance $1.50, immediate support $1.30. Okay, if you're trying to go long right now, it is in a relative resistance zone. Okay, in terms of momentum, look at 2 minutes. Actually, start on 3 minutes. We got 3 minute chart, right? If you're trying to long right now, it's losing a little bit of momentum. The price, MATIC price. Okay, I would bring up Bitcoin chart. Okay, and draw some trend lines as such. See, it was in the downward sloping channel on the 3 minute chart, right? And it just broke out, and we have an intermediate trend change, higher high, higher low. So it's scouting the higher high right now. So if somebody, this is not a good spot to go long right now. In terms of the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, right? It's not the best spot to go long, right? A better spot would be maybe down here at support, so like 137, 132. If this is going to maintain its 2, 3, 5 minute uptrend, right? It's going to pull back at some point. So the first point would be like $1.37 and maybe $1.32, right? And then wait for just for that momentum reset before someone try to enter that trade. Right. And again, this is not financial advice, this is educational real time, right? So how we put that risk reward, try to get 2 to 1 if possible, depending on the asset, right? So then the first entry could try to be for educational purposes only, 137. If that fails, maybe try 132, right? With that same risk to reward ratio with proper risk management. If all of those fail, then like $1.25, right? But again, if you really analyze the trend, it's in a short-term uptrend, but it looks like it's about to retest its supports. Again, this is not financial advice, just education. Okay, so we'll end it there. We went a really, really long time. We did probably 1.5 hours of educational and off-topic topics, which usually happens on a weekend, usually happens every weekend. So again, I want to thank you everybody for joining us on the stream today, joining me on the stream. And I hope you enjoyed and learned from the technical chart analysis. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just education here on TradingView. I am live right now. If you want to give me a follow, if this helped you in any way, you learned something, or you want to support the channel and the group, give us a like on TradingView. Follow us on TradingView, YouTube, or Twitch. And we have a free Discord channel, Discord group in the profile right now. That free invite link is there right now. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next stream. Bye-bye.